in emerging and current theory and practice of research. The tutorials are focused on formal engineering methods for electronic governance, presented by Professor Davies and Professor Janowski. Interoperability in electronic government, presented by Dr. Janssen and Dr. Scholl. A third workshop on knowledge management in public administration, presented by Professor Wimmer and Professor Traumuller. The final 3 of our 6 workshops will focus on electronic governance and organizational transformation, presented by Dr. Jiang and myself. There will be a policy development for electronic governance workshop, presented by Dr. Shang and Dr. Oh. And finally, our 6th workshop will focus on economics for electronic governance, presented by Professor Sellery. Each of the tutorials and workshops are presented as a pair, which provides you with the opportunity, as I said earlier, to build the general knowledge in a particular area and complement that new knowledge with a session, the workshop session, which will present key topics of research in that area. We have 7 panel discussions available to you, and we believe that each will provide tremendous opportunity to push the ideas that you have gained even further. The first panel on case studies and innovation in electronic government will be presented by Dr. Rhee. We all look forward to hearing that. Education and capacity building for electronic governance from Mr. Gupta from Canada. We look forward to that presentation as well. Research applications in electronic governance, hosted by Dr. Scholl. Socioeconomic development in electronic governance by Dr. Spio Garba. And participation through electronic governance by Dr. Traumuller. The last of our 7 panels, which will involve a variety of members of the audience in those panel discussions, is the session on coordination and cooperation for electronic governance by Madeleine Celestine-Thiel. And finally, the closing panel will be on the discussion of a Pan-Asian Society for Electronic Governance Research and Practice, hosted by your very own Dr. Janowski. The paper and poster session. These sessions are often the heart of one of these conferences where we bring together research and practice. The sessions represent a variety of topics: e-participation, adoption and diffusion, implementation, innovative applications, development, rural electronic governance, cases in electronic governance, and research and applications. As you'll hear in a few minutes, we had 165 abstracts submitted for this conference. We ultimately selected 39 papers for the sessions and 28 for the workshops. This was a very competitive process. The papers received were of great quality, and we look forward to hearing each of the presentations in turn. The workshops allow us to further our thinking around 6 topics: foundations, as I said, interoperability, knowledge management, organizational transformation, policy development, and economics. This program provides a deep and broad opportunity to select from among a very rich set of topics. In addition to the program, which includes the panels, the workshops, the poster sessions, and the paper sessions, as well as our invited talks, we do have an event here that is co-located with the conference, a working group meeting focused on digital governance and hotspot geoinformatics by Dr. Patil. This is a program, a work group that is funded by the National Science Foundation and the Digital Government International Community Development Program, run out of the Center for Technology and Government. At this point, I'd like to turn the podium back over to Dr. Janowski to talk in more detail about the papers and the schedule for the week.
Thank you very much, Theresa. Just to give you an historical overview of the process of submitting papers for the conference. By end of July deadline, we received 165 submissions and accepted 159 of them. Full papers were received by end of August. We received 130 full papers and accepted 91. Out of them, 33 papers were long papers, 10 pages, 38 short, 4 pages, and 20 posters. The final papers, which were due by early November, we received and accepted 81 of them. Here is a distribution of the initial submissions according to the type of submission. You can see from here that in majority we received practice papers, 74, then research papers, 63, and then solution papers, 22. Distribution by topic. By far the biggest were cases. We were really blessed by a very rich collection of cases submitted from over 30 countries on various aspects of electronic government development. 34 cases were received. Then vertical applications like e-participation, e-administration, rural e-government, etc. We received 31 submissions in the vertical category. Then 13 each international development and knowledge management, then 12 each policy development and organizational transformation, interoperability 11, mobility 12 papers, etc. So there was a very broad spectrum of papers that were submitted for the conference. Also a hugely, surprisingly rich geographic distribution of papers. We received papers from 55 countries that I was really surprised. More or less half in half from developing countries, slightly more from developing countries, slightly less from developed countries. So that's the leader in terms of number of papers is India. We received 30 papers from India. And then Nigeria, we received 13 papers from Nigeria. Then United States, then Nepal, and Brazil and Macao EXECO. So very, very rich really distribution of sources from which the papers came geographically. In your registration package you have the conference proceedings which were assembled from the accepted submissions. In the proceedings you will find 3 papers corresponding to invited talks, 4 workshop overviews, 24 workshop papers, 39 regular papers, 12 posters. So altogether 82 papers in the proceedings. The proceedings are printed in hard copy with ISBN number and are also published by ICM Digital Library, which will happen soon. At this moment, let me just give you a very brief outline of the program. So after Theresa has presented various elements of the program, let me just try to map them into the different days. The conference has generally a structure of the first day is for tutorials and the last day is for workshops. We have 6 tutorials and 6 workshops on the same topics. So there is a tutorial on formal engineering methods for e-government and there is a workshop on formal engineering methods for e-government. Following the opening, we will move to the MPI complex, which is 5 minutes walk from here, where the main conference will take place. There are 3 lecture theatres, lecture theatre 1, 2 and 3. And there will be 3 concurrent sessions with tutorials, paper sessions and workshops on the last day. So today we will start with foundation tutorial in lecture theatre 1, knowledge management, lecture theatre 2 and policy development in lecture theatre 3.